thanks for joining us today. I'm meteorologist Taylor Cox, and we are tracking storms across, well, a good portion of the U.S. today. We are tracking storms anywhere from the western side of the U.S. all the way to the plains. We're talking about monsoonal moisture for a lot of us out there. Let's take a look at your headlines for today, because flooding is absolutely on the docket for not only today, but also for tomorrow. Monsoonal moisture in the mountain. I think I ran out of room there. Monsoonal moisture in the mountains today. Flooding for many. Flash flooding is possible across a good portion of the U.S., and we'll talk about exactly where. That cold front, are you enjoying those cooler temperatures? It is in full swing out there. So thankfully, we have a cool down on the dock for today. And Hurricane Harvey and Katrina anniversary this week. Yeah, we saw Hurricane Harvey anniversary yesterday. And that Hurricane Katrina anniversary throughout most of this week. You know, yesterday, 20 years ago, it made landfall in Florida. And then in a few days on Thursday, 20 years ago, it made landfall in New Orleans. And we'll talk about that. We'll show some really, really impactful pictures here in just a few minutes. But first, I want to take you to what happened yesterday. Out in California yesterday, we saw quite a sight. Strong winds through a good portion of the southern side of the state. Strong winds through southern Arizona as well. We got a haboob in Arizona that knocked out power for over 30,000 people at times, which was very, very impressive. Now, we told you about this yesterday, but we told you that the hail risk in this area was going to be very small and low, and that's exactly what it was. I think that we saw a few hailstones in the very far southern side of the state near Highway 19. But then we also saw something very, very interesting. I'm going to take you about halfway up the state here, right along the California and Arizona state line, and that is where we saw some hail in the mountains. Take a look at this time lapse. It's really, really impressive. Here comes that hail. Okay, you can see that it's bouncing near the camera, and then all of a sudden, whoosh! No, it's not snow. That is hail on the ground in the mountains of California. Now, I'll tell you the name of this mountain, and I think that you're probably going to agree with this name. It's called White Mountain. White Mountain, California. And that's exactly what we got yesterday. We got a White Mountain. No, it's not snow. It was hail yesterday in White Mountain, California. Very, very impressive. And then, of course, we got those strong wind speeds out in Phoenix yesterday as well, which was devastating for a lot of people in the area as they went without power late last night. Now let's talk about what we're expecting today. Well, I feel like, have you guys seen that scene in Shrek? Have you guys seen that where they go, he walks into a castle and he goes, it's quiet, too quiet. That's how I feel right now, because we don't have a risk for storms today. We don't have a risk for storms tomorrow. We don't have a risk for storms on Thursday either. What we do have is, yes, rain, but your severe risk is very, very low, if there at all. We've got a few little boundaries that are hanging out right now. We've got a stationary boundary that hangs out from El Paso all the way down to Houston. That's keeping a lot of this moisture stuck in place across Oklahoma right now. Now, this is going to continue our rain that we've gotten for about the last 24 hours. It's been rainy for the last 24 hours, soaking the ground, soaking the roads, creating some flooding issues out there across Oklahoma, portions of Texas. But we've got some monsoonal moisture all the way up in the mountains, for anywhere from Denver to Billings, all the way back into California. That's another thing that we're watching for today, is that flood risk out to the west. And we'll talk about who's in the level 1 flood risk, and we'll talk about who's in the level 2 flood risk here in just a few minutes. Showers across southern Florida right now. Temperatures, gorgeous. Football weather, here we come. 65 in Oklahoma City, 74 in KC, 69 in Denver, a very comfortable 72 up in Billings. We're still holding on to the 80s in Dallas, but just barely. I do think that temperatures are supposed to cool down, especially overnight tonight. It's going to be one of those open the windows and enjoy the nice weather type of nights. We got that last night here in Oklahoma. Your significant hail model, it really, truly is not impressive today. I know that you see those yellow markings over central Colorado, Denver. Do not get your hopes up. I do not expect any hail for you today. You may get some rain, but no significant hail is expected anywhere in the U.S. today or tomorrow. Wind, same thing here. Tornado forecast, same thing. No significant tornado risk. However, the flood risk is really what I want to talk to you about today, because we have a level 2 flood risk for a good portion of Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, Utah, Idaho, and California, all highlighted there in yellow. Now remember that level 2 flood risk is for scattered flash flooding, so that means multiple people, many people, can be involved in that flooding risk today. Flash flooding comes on very strong, very quickly. It's one of those things that you don't expect. It's a very sneaky hazard that we have to talk about. So don't turn off the forecast just because we say no hail in the forecast. This is a very important thing to talk about, not only today, but also as we head into the middle of the work week and the end of the work week. We're taking a look at Wednesday now. We have a level 2 flood risk across Kansas and Oklahoma. Wait until I show you the rainfall totals in this area over the next few days. That's where we're going next. We have a level 2 flood risk as this low pressure system continues to slowly track to the east as we head into the later portion of the work week. We've got some upper level moisture in play right now, and that's just creating some monsoons out there for a lot of states. The west today, and then we go into the plains tomorrow. So let's go ahead and take a look at the future radar. Let us know where you're watching from today. If you want to talk about rain and rain chances in your area, we're happy to talk about it. But we're talking about such a wide area of the country, we're going to do a national view for the most part. If you want us to zoom down into a city specific, let us know, and we're happy to zoom into those different cities. But here's your national view. Most of that rain is anywhere from Mississippi River all the way out to the west. So we've got a lot of people expecting showers and storms today. Again, the severe risk with this is going to be very low. It's that flooding risk. That's going to be a sneaky hazard here. Let's continue into Wednesday here. So you just looked at your Tuesday forecast. We'll talk about Wednesday here in just a few minutes. Over the last 24 hours, we've gotten localized areas that have gotten 2, 3, 4 inches of rain. That's a lot of rain over a short period of time. And we're expecting more rain on top of it. So let me tell you what's happened so far. The soil, it's filled with water. Your roadways, that spot in your neighborhood, that always seems to flood. There's going to be a puddle there for a little bit, at least through the end of this week. You've got water on the roadways right now. You get additional water on top of that. Where does it go? Well, it stays on the streets. It's called runoff. And it floods the streets and you get flash flooding, and that's whenever we really get into a problem. So over the next 5 days, we've got a lot of areas that we have to watch for that flash flooding issue. One of those, anywhere from Kansas to, anywhere from Wichita to Kansas City. I've really got my eye on this area. Wichita, Kansas City, Joplin, you guys have to keep an eye on how much rain that you're getting, both on Wednesday and on Thursday. So today we've got that monsoonal moisture in the mountains. We pivot a little bit to the east into the plains tomorrow. That low pressure system is stuck next to a high pressure system and really has no place to go. So it's dumping rain on this area both Wednesday and Thursday. The storms just won't stop. You're going to feel like your yard just won't dry out. It's going to be weeks before you can mow again. I'm just kidding, but you're going to feel like that. Finally, we get a break on Friday, and then showers and storms return on Saturday. So there's your weather on land. Let's go out to the sea. Let's go out to the Atlantic here. Let's talk about Fernand. 40-mile-per-hour wind speeds right now. It's a tropical storm at the moment. We've got a pressure at 1,007 millibars. Not very impressive there. Low pressure system. I mean, we'd at least like to see like 980 for an impressive hurricane. We are not seeing that at all. The higher the pressure, the weaker the storm. And the storm is expected to continue to weaken as it tracks to the north and east into some cooler waters. Fernand is our next name on the list. We just talked about that. Gabrielle is next in line. Umberto after that. Imelda following that. We are expecting to get all the way up at least to Lorenzo this year. 14 named storms, that's the average. But if we look ahead into what we're expecting this year, Hail Trace said about 12 to 17 named storms. So right about average, or maybe just a bit above that. 6 to 10 of those named storms will be hurricanes. We've already gotten one this year. And then 2 to 3 of those hurricanes will be major hurricanes, and we've already gotten one major hurricane this year as well. Remember, Aaron was a Cat 5 hurricane like 2 weeks ago, 2 Saturdays ago. And for everyone who's saying it's been a very slow start to hurricane season, you may be correct, but that's also what we expect every single year. Every single year we have a slow start from May to June, July, and into August. Finally, by the middle of August, we start to see more activity, which is exactly what we saw this year as well. We'll continue to see that activity increase as we head into the middle of September, and then it'll start to slow down until late September and October. Very similar to what we saw last year as well. We saw a pretty active start to the season. By early July, we had Hurricane Beryl, which also went to a Cat 5 hurricane. Then we had Debbie and Ernesto, only 2 in August. Finally, by the middle of September, things really started to get going. Francine, Gordon, Helene. I'm sure a lot of you remember Helene. Isaac, Joyce, Kirk, Leslie, and Milton. Milton, also a very, very impressive storm. Cat 5 hurricane as well. Happened in the middle of October, so we still have a lot of time left in this hurricane season. But while we do have a very, very slow Atlantic or quiet Atlantic right now, I want to talk about something that happened about 20 years ago. 20 years ago, Hurricane Katrina made landfall not once, but twice in the U.S. Now, New Orleans and southern Florida is no stranger to hurricanes. Actually, within the last about 75 years, they've gotten a ton, I'm not even going to count all of this, a ton of tropical storms and hurricanes in this area. So what you're looking at here are the tracks of hurricanes from the last 75 years that hit within about 50 miles of New Orleans. But if we just isolate Katrina, here we go. You can see that path. It hit not only New Orleans, which is what it's famous for, but also just a few days before it hit New Orleans, this storm hit Florida. And I think that this is not talked about too much. It hit as a Category 1 hurricane. We had a Category 5 hurricane as it intensified in the Gulf and then weakened pretty quickly from Cat 4 to Cat 3 with that second landfall back on August 29, 2005. But I want to go back to Florida, and I want to show you some pretty impressive pictures from the impacts of Katrina in Florida. Take a look at some of these pictures right here. This is courtesy of the National Weather Service. Now, a few stats about what Katrina did in Florida. I told you that it was a Category 1 hurricane. However, it still had many, many impacts. It dropped over 12 inches of rain in the Florida Keys and up to about 8 inches of rain in southern Florida, including Miami. Now, unfortunately, this storm took about 11 lives in Florida alone. But the hurricane was not done. It was just intensifying. It went into the Gulf. It went into the Gulf and rapidly intensified with warm Gulf waters into a Category 5 hurricane. It then turned to the north and took aim straight for the Louisiana and Mississippi coast. And I know we talk a lot about New Orleans whenever we talk about Katrina, but we don't often talk about Mississippi and the other impacts that this storm had. Now, thankfully, it weakened as it made landfall as a strong Cat 3 hurricane in New Orleans. But because of its extensive impacts, not only in Louisiana, but also Mississippi and in Florida, it still ranks as one of the costliest hurricanes in history, just behind Harvey, Ian, Maria, and Sandy, all some of the most expensive hurricanes in U.S. history. So some very, very tragic and impactful pictures there. Again, those pictures were outside of Florida, but we'll continue to talk about Katrina as we continue with this anniversary this entire week, and we'll show you more pictures and more statistics throughout this entire week on our noon forecasts. Alrighty, moving on, big cool down, there you go. It's been a lot cooler out there. You know, yesterday we got to get outside, we got to light up the fire pit that we have on our patio. It was such a nice evening, opened up the windows. A lot of people in that same boat. I hope that you've enjoyed these cooler temperatures anywhere from St. Louis to Chicago all the way up to Toronto. Temperatures are about 10 to 15 to 20 degrees below average for this time of the year. Thankfully, we're going to continue this trend all the way into the weekend. By Thursday, Friday, temperatures are still going to be below average. So again, if your average is 90 degrees and we say below average, we're talking about 70s and 80s, which will be really, really nice. And this continues all the way into the very beginning of September. We are likely to see temperatures below average for everyone highlighted there in blue. And taking a look at your rain chances, well, I hope that you like this wet weather because it will most likely continue to stay with rain chances or rainfall totals above average, more than normal, for Oklahoma City, Dallas, New Mexico, thankfully mitigating the fire danger, which is great news there, especially the farther west that you go. We really want to mitigate that fire danger. And there's your forecast today. Thanks for joining us. Joey, we didn't miss any questions, did we? All good on questions? Okay, Joey's producing for us today. We appreciate him being here as well. Joey is one of our mapping Mets. We have over 17 meteorologists here at Hail Trace. Many of those mapping Mets, mapping storms that you saw yesterday, like those strong winds in Arizona, and even any hail over the size of a quarter. So we have all of those maps updated by our Mets, there you go, at hailtrace.com. Head over to hailtrace.com for more information. We also have a blog on that website that's really interesting. If you have any questions for us, email us at info@hailtrace.com or give us a call at 855-334-4245. In the meantime, follow us on social media. We post really cool things, there you go, like hurricane videos from years past. Our CEO, Derek Klein, loves to chase hurricanes. So we've got lots of those videos on all of our social media, and we've also got updates for current weather events. Thanks for joining us today. I'm meteorologist Taylor Cox, and we'll see you back here for your forecast, same time, same place tomorrow.